You're listening to The Gaming Outsider, and here's your host, Scott Clark. Kaboom!
Welcome back to The Gaming Outsider. This week it's just Zack and I again, and we're taking a look back at console startup sounds and which ones stand out the most to us. In news, Xbox had a partner showcase, which we'll recap, and new games discussed include Crow Country on Switch, Pinball Spire on Steam Deck, A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead on PS5, and Astlibra Gaiden: The Cave of the Phantom Mist. This is The Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com or our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/thegocast, and even a Discord server. There is a link in the show notes of this very episode. It is Tuesday, October 22nd. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Zack Parkerson. How you doing, man?
I'm not doing great.
Not doing great. Why aren't you doing great?
I don't know if you saw the news, but Ghostface is coming to Hunt Showdown. And I'm not feeling great about it.
But you still want to play it, don't you?
Well, you know, I'll take a free version of Ghostface, but it's just, I really thought Hunt was going to be safe from this. I felt comfortable investing into Hunt because I thought I was going to be safe from the crossover. And yet, nothing is safe. I appreciate that they tried to, make him 19th century appropriate, like his face, like his mask is carved out of wood. But Scott, my heart was just, I was seeing Fonzie jumping the shark when I saw the trailer.
Yeah.
And
I think you sent me a GIF of that when I shared the news with you.
I did. Couldn't believe it because it's not like this is the end, but it's not. I just don't want the Fortnite thing or the Call of Duty thing where you see like Nicki Minaj running around.
Yeah.
It's so distracting. It's so and it disrupts the vibe, I guess, for lack of a better term.
I agree with you. Yeah. On a brighter note.
Yeah, anyway, how's things for Mr. Clark?
Well, there's a crossover that I am excited about, which is Vampire Survivors is getting getting a Castlevania treatment, which pretty cool.
I mean, that inevitable, right? I mean, it was really funny when they did the Contra crossover because it was just like, oh, I guess they're going the non-obvious route.
Yeah.
But it was just they were just biding their time. I assume
I had to make sure that was right.
Everybody who bought Vampire Survivors will buy a Castlevania DLC, right?
I mean, I would hope so. It's been so long since I've played it, though, man. I don't even remember the combinations. You know what I mean? It would kind of be relearning the game, but
there'll probably be so many new items that you'll be relearning anyway.
Maybe just like starting over, but I gotta play it. It's only $4.
Yeah, that sounds right.
$4. Gotta play that for sure.
Yeah.
It is just Zack and I this week. If you haven't been able to tell already, Alyssa is feeling a little under the weather. CB is working, so it is another two-man show. But Zack, can you tell me about the games that you've been catching up on?
Sure, man. Yeah, let's get right into it. Silent Hill 2.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about last week. Gushed. I've beaten it. I finished the game.
Wow.
It is about twice as long as the original version, I would say. And as it went along, there's like an occasional new story beat, but it is pretty darn faithful. So it's really just like a lot of new gameplay.
Okay.
And that, like I was saying last week, that continued to be great because the dungeons that you're in, for lack of a better term, are really fun to navigate and go through. The hospital was a little bit long, but that's okay. And then the shift to the other worlds you get at the end of each of them is like a fun because it's a little bit more linear. So it's like a little reprieve. But the whole game, man, I was enraptured. Loved it. Thought it was great. It was occasionally there was one part where it was like way too combat heavy. But I also feel like that's when James is like approaching the precipice of his lowest point in the narrative. Mm-hmm. So it almost feels like they want you to be as exhausted as he does. But it was still it was like, okay, guys, I get it. There are monsters here. I understand. Right. But yeah, dude, I beat it. Recommended highly to anybody. But I neglected last week to mention the music because Akira Yamaoka came back for it. The composer, the original Silent Hill composer. And it's extraordinary. There are like some slight remixes. I don't have the musical ear to tell, where new stuff has been added or what have you, but there is one there's a few tracks that he left untouched, which was smart.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and one of them is definitely one you would want to leave untouched, but I don't want to spoil that.
I had my finger on the button to buy this game, Zach. Not actually. That's not even the right way to say it. I was at GameStop, and I came really close to pulling the trigger. I'm like,
you saw that disc sitting on the shelf.
we could do this for a giveaway for the Go this
there
month.
you go.
But
yeah, we could have done a spoiler cast,
Yeah, right. So I wound up not, because I am still playing catch up from the other games that I've been trying to cover since R2V2. It is insane how little time I thought I have compared to what I thought I would have after R2V2 planning being done.
Right, I thought that would free you up.
I thought so as well, man. It is right back in the thick of it, which apparently is my MO. So bring on Christmas break. That's what I'm saying. That's
Oh,
gonna be my.
That's your next hope and prayer.
Yeah, gonna get everything done before Christmas break, and I'm gonna do nothing but play games during Christmas break.
Well, you may as well lie to yourself about playing games during your next summer vacation while you're at it too.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that now.
Yeah,
I'm not building a deck next summer. Building a fence.
I'm sure something will come up.
Yeah, something will come up. I'm glad you'll like it though, man. I'm really stoked. I think Brian Regals from the community posted today that he also beat it, and he really liked it. He's never played the original.
Okay.
So he didn't have the comparison. He got to kind of go in without any preconceived notions of the story, which is, that's always fun.
And he was still digging it?
Yeah, he loved it.
That's great.
Yeah.
I did want to call out the acting across the board is exceptional, but Gianna Keel as Angela Orozco was exceptional. She's probably only in the game like 10, 15 minutes of screen time total.
Mm-hmm.
But each time she has to give a monologue about one of the heaviest subjects that tends to occur more to women than men.
Mm-hmm.
And you just, the delivery and the pain is there, and it was just enrapturing. And then Luke Roberts as James Sunderland, dude, a phenomenal performance. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
I feel like every line, there's such depression in his voice the whole runtime. Like every line sounds like he's tired before he has to say it. And it's wonderful.
Dude, you've already made the sale, man. Stop selling it. I want to play this game.
All right. Yeah. I needed to call that out because it really stood out to me. Especially,
That's awesome, man.
How good the acting was. And then while I'm talking, getting ready for Japan here in a couple weeks,
mm-hmm.
and it dawned on me that I've never played Japan's favorite thing in the world, Dragon Quest.
You never played any Dragon Quest?
I've never played a single Dragon Quest.
Wow. Okay.
Until now, because I picked up the demo for Dragon Quest XI on Switch, and it's been my bus game, and I think it's going to be my playing game to Japan because I love this game.
Oh, really?
Holy crap, man! It's I've been describing it as it's a warm hug. It feels like hanging out with some friend you haven't seen in a while. Like it's just classic turn-based JRPG. But the universe, like Akira Toriyama's art style combined with the kind of whimsical music, it just sets this inviting tone, and I just want to keep playing it. And then the characters are more charming than I thought they would be. Your party so far, because looking at them, they just kind of look like JRPG people, if that makes sense. But they're all pretty interesting. And yeah, man, I don't know. There's just something about it that's clicking me. It's like just there's like a warmth to everything. Even though the story does get dark in some spots so far, even early on, it'll bump you with the sad briefly, but then you kind of get that adventurous feel again when you get back to the overworlds. It's a really great time.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm going to add it to my retirement list of games because I'm not going to play it this year.
Well, I've heard it's super long. And that's
Isn't it, wasn't it on Game Pass at one point, or maybe still on Game Pass?
I mean, it very well could. I know, yeah, I think it was. But the Switch feels like the place to play a JRPG of such length, especially. So
especially when you have a 21-hour flight, coming up.
Right. So that'll get me through like a fifth of the game.
Actually, no, you're on the right side of the country.
I think
Japan's not going to be
it's a 13-hour flight, I think.
13? It's still a ways, but
yeah, that's a solid. Based on what I'm told, that's like a dent in the armor of Dragon Quest XI. But
yeah.
dude, yeah, I don't know. I'm fascinated with the game. I just want to keep playing it when I'm not playing it.
That's awesome, dude. I'm happy for you. And that whatever makes a 13-hour flight a little bit more enjoyable.
Right. Yeah, I'm definitely bringing the Switch in a half dozen games or so just to see. But I figured, I'm going to go to the homeland, where you can't release Dragon Quest on a weekday because no one will show up to work or school. So I'll finally get to see all that. What about you though? What have you been playing?
Well, I've been playing more Balatro.
Sure.
On the phone is bad, dude.
They warned you.
It is. They did. And it's like I'll get to work 20 minutes early, and I'll just sit there in the parking lot and go through a few rounds. I just can't stop.
I understand.
But,
that's what I'm grinding battles in Dragon Quest, so I can understand.
Yeah. I hit a pretty interesting milestone this week, though. I actually had a 4-game win streak. Like I won 4 in a row.
And does the game keep track of that for you?
It does, yeah. And I didn't know that. The only reason I found out was my buddy Mike sent me you met Mike.
Yeah.
Sent me a text and said, hey, I just got a 3 streak in Balatro, and he sent me a screenshot. And then he texted a little while later and said, actually, make that 4. I just got my 4th.
Oh, nice.
And I happened to be like in the middle of a 3rd game in a row that would have got it, and I got it. And I was like, well, I'll report back. And sure enough, I got a 4th. So
good for you, man. Dude,
yeah.
It's like you're better at Balatro than ever.
I feel like I have reached past where I was when I was playing it on Xbox in terms of, the percentage, which isn't a lot. I'm only like 23% in terms of everything you can do in this game, which is insane to me.
There's so many jokers alone.
I've got I'm only missing like 20 jokers or so.
Oh, really?
But some of those are there's one to get a joker by having 400 gold at or $400 at one point.
Whoa.
Yeah, which I had like 200 something, but
that's impressive already.
Yeah, there's some crazy ones like discard a royal flush. Why would I do that other than to get
that hurts? Yeah, just to get the joker is the only reason you would, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I did start focusing on looking at the jokers and not necessarily going for ones that are going to help me on this run, but maybe getting one that I haven't unlocked yet, just so I can check it off my list kind of thing.
Yeah, fill it out. Yeah,
and that's actually kind of forced my gameplay style to go a little bit different too. So trying out different things and seeing new different combinations. That game just continues to give and give and give, man. It's awesome. Outside of that, my Baldur's Gate 3 recap is now.
You have progressed.
I do, man, and I had a really cool moment in Baldur's Gate 3. If you remember, I just got to Act 3. I'm just now getting to Baldur's Gate. Not even Baldur's Gate proper yet, but I'm right on the outskirts or the of Baldur's Gate. And I've had a quest in my log since Act 1 that I have not been able to complete because you have to go to Baldur's Gate to do it. It is to rescue the father of one of the main characters in the game. His name is Will. And I finally was able to figure out where he is. He's in a prison, which, okay, so all right, prison escape. It's going to be awesome. But come to find out that the prison that he is in an underwater prison, which I didn't know was a thing in this universe.
Do they cast breathing spells on the prisoners?
No. There is a submarine. They call it a submersible. Okay. So I came across this submersible and went in this submersible, and there's a whole little animation of this cool looking Nautilus thing that just goes down to docks with this underwater prison. But on the way to this underwater prison, I get a phone call. I don't know what it's considered, but this guy named Gortash, who Karlak has a vehement hatred for. We actually partnered up with him. I had an audience with him last time we played, and we kind of came to an impasse and decided to work together instead of fighting against him. And we go to this prison to rescue there, and he, calls us up on whatever this is or whatever magic is being used that he can have a conversation with us while we're in this submersible. And he says, you stay away from that prison. if you know what's good for you. If you don't stay away, I'm going to blow it up. So we kind of gave him the finger and said, we're going to blow this. We're going to go rescue this dude because it's on my quest list. I'm not going to not go rescue this guy. He's a father of one of my main characters, right?
Right.
So he says, all right, have it your way. And he sets the detonation sequence for this underwater prison, and we have a certain amount of time to get into here, find Will's dad, and get him out. So the way that it does a timer in Baldur's Gate 3, since it's a turn-based game, is you have so many turns before, the whole thing blows up. So there's no, messing around and even necessarily fighting as much as you normally would. You're not taking out all the enemies. It is just beeline for wherever he is, free him from this prison, and beeline it back and make it back to the submersible so that you can escape. If I'm being perfectly direct, we failed the first time. But the second time, we kind of restructured our strategy and decided not to attack as much and just we actually divided and conquered. Because there's actually another person that was in prison that Kevin wanted to rescue. So we split, which you never do in D&D or Baldur's Gate, right? You never split the party.
No, yeah.
But he took his one guy, I took my one guy. I went after Will's dad. He went after the other guy. And I got my guy out, started beelining back for the ladder to get to the submersible. Kevin was not able to release his guy, but he was able to get it back just in time. I'm talking like he was one step away from the ladder, like almost didn't make it.
But he did. But he did make it.
But he did make it.
Wow,
well,
it's kind of a movie moment.
It was really cool because then the cinematic plays of us like flying away in the submersible and it blowing up like Metroid style, which was, dude, that whole sequence was just so much fun because it felt, very familiar with the mechanics of Baldur's Gate, but it was doing something different. We've done the time thing before. We've done, the certain number of turns, but this was a rescue.
Right.
And it was just really cool. And then like when I rescued Will's dad, one of the characters that I had, it wasn't a playable party in my troop, but it was someone that's sitting in my camp, actually came and like cast some kind of spells on this guy because he's unarmed. He just got broke out of prison.
Right.
To kind of protect him on the way back so he wasn't like,
so
targeted the whole time.
Does it say so you didn't have to worry about him?
Well, I was actually controlling him. He was one of my party members,
Yeah, no,
so I actually had to do that, but he didn't. He was unarmed, so all he could do was punch, and or dash. He used a lot of dash, obviously, to get there. But it was just a really cool, like you said, cinematic moment of we got out of here. Granted, it took us 2 tries, but it still felt awesome, and that's pretty much where we left off. And now we got to deal with Gortash, who is not happy with us, and it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out. But what a game, man.
Yeah. I mean, your weekly segments, I finally started saving up so I can do Baldur's Gate 3 one day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, if you do, and you decide to go the Xbox, I guess we can play crossplay.
Yeah, that's true. Because
I'm
going to want to, because they do the physical copy on their site, so I'm sure I'll get that on PS5.
Gotcha. It would be fun to do, what Kevin has been doing with me, and let you make all the decisions and just figure it out and see how different the story is.
You may underestimate how horny I'll be.
Hey, I didn't date anybody or anything, but
you can see a lot of. Hope you're a voyeur.
Oh my goodness! One of the mind flayers tried to hook up with me.
Oh yeah. See, it'd be hard not to say yes to that.
I showed no interest, and he's like, "All right, that's fine."
Was it like? Was he trying to hook up in your mind?
Well, yeah, because there's this moment where he actually becomes a good guy. Mm-hmm. He's like, it's all story related.
Sure.
But he has conversations with you in like this dream world, and you kind of sit and stare out at the ocean or whatever, and have this meaningful conversation, and he says something like, "I really enjoyed these talks," and my response was, "I enjoyed these talks too," not realizing that was a flirtatious thing to say.
Uh-huh.
And he like makes some comment about, "So what do you think?" And I was like, "No, I'm good." And but yeah, it would be kind of interesting to see. But that's gonna be the fun of doing another playthrough, because I feel like even after I finish this, I'm not done with this game.
Right.
Another playthrough is gonna be
there's so much more to see.
Completely different class.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to learn how to do something because I've just been doing what I do in my D&D campaign, which is an archer. So it'll be kind of fun to like maybe be like some kind of a tank or something.
Is that the class you are, archer or a ranger?
Half. Yes, it's a ranger. No. Yeah, whichever one is stealthy. What's the rogue? I'm a rogue. Excuse me.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah. And much better rogue than Jacob is in actual D&D. Doesn't hide ever.
Yeah. Well, isn't that what a rogue does?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
that's the joke. Is we give him crap all the time. You're like the worst rogue ever. It's a common joke, but anyway, that was my Baldur's Gate recap. I can't believe it's been over a year I've been playing that game.
Is that right?
I mean, remember I started it when I was going to Australia last summer.
No,
so
I
it's
know.
actually
Just
well
time.
past.
Time flies, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a
Kinda
year
crazy.
when it's just like weekly increments, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's only like 5-6 hours at a time, but
Yeah.
and it's crazy that didn't make my. You know, I wonder where it would have landed on my top 10 last year
Yeah.
if I had actually played it consistently like I am now. Because genuinely look forward to it. I got to wake up early.
Yeah.
We start at like 6 in the morning
It's crazy.
on a weekend, but that's how dedicated I am. I sometimes I'm like, man, I don't know. I just want to go back to bed, and then I get into it. And I'm so glad.
Right. Well,
that
so
I-
it's also your only opportunity, right?
We could probably do something, but you know, Friday nights I try to play with my other online group, which we haven't in forever. And plus, I'd like to play some of this other stuff that I've agreed to review.
Sure.
You know,
that's
I'd like
important.
to play Zelda. I still like Balatro, so it's just I'm getting overwhelmed. And the Kong game is coming next week.
It's today.
Ah.
Came today.
Is it today? Great, thanks.
Sorry, I don't control the release date, but you're right, dude. Games are coming out, whether you want them to or not.
And I get so envious of people listening to podcasts where they're just playing all these games and have all this time.
Yeah, I try to remember that that's their job, right? So while you're at school grading papers, dealing with mischievous children, and I'm off to, doing 2 to 3 hour bus rides worth of bus rides every day,
Mhm.
and going to a warehouse. Like, these guys get to just sit down and crank out games for those 10 to 12 hours.
Yeah, I chose poorly.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna kill my guidance counselor.
dude, he screwed you. I don't
I don't
understand.
even
Like, I feel like some of the podcasts I'm listening to, or YouTubers, are like, "Yeah, here's my Metaphor Refantasia review." I'm like, "How?" They're like, "Yeah, it's about 100-hour playthrough." I'm like, "What?
It's been out a week.
What are you talking about? You guys are crazy."
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I don't know what to tell you, man. I need to rethink my priorities or something because I need me some more game time in my life.
Yeah.
But what do you say we jump into the week's news?
Of course.
Couple new trailers to talk about. I mentioned Vampire Survivors Ode to Castlevania already. Comes out on Halloween, October 31st for $3.99. Tomb Raider 4 through 6 remaster coming to Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC on Valentine's Day.
Excuse me, Laura's birthday.
Is it Laura's birthday?
It is Laura's birthday.
I didn't know that.
To
That
me,
would make sense why they did that.
to me, it's not Valentine's Day. Every February 14th, I'm like, "Oh, happy birthday, Laura."
This fictional character wasn't actually born, but yeah. And then another Tron game from Mike Bithell, Tron Catalyst, coming to Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC 2025. In terms of news this week, Xbox had a partner showcase. Square Enix is shutting down Accord's library, and Surgent Studios has put its staff into redundancy. And lastly, Prince of Persia team has been disbanded. Lots of stuff to talk about. Zach, where do you want to start?
Well, this is for me because I put this news story on here. I just needed to briefly talk about it because it affects me. Square Enix is shutting down Accord's library. This hurts me personally because the site's been around for years, and it's important for us Nier and Drakengard fans because it's kind of an archive of a bunch of materials, including a lot of untranslated stuff over here, or kind of more obscure, like pieces of lore or materials that have come out. Like, these guys are crazy. They'll translate pamphlets of concerts. These guys are serious, and it's been a great resource for fans for years. But they got hit with a cease and desist from Square Enix's lawyers, and they have to shut down by the end of the month, and I am very sad about it.
That's a bummer. Couldn't they like work together somehow, or?
Yeah, naturally you don't get all the details. My only assumption is because they have been around for a while. Some of the stuff they have on there is stuff that when they put on there wasn't yet officially translated, and now there is like a method to purchase them through Square Enix in English. So I'm sure they didn't like that, but I'm gonna guess it must have been even broader, because I'm sure they could have just been like, hey, take that stuff down. But my assumption is just that they're going to be slowly translating everything related to Nier and Drakengard over in English, because they have they print their own stuff in English now, Square Enix, because they used to go through third parties, and they brought it all kind of in house. So I assume that's the plan, because there are like some Drakengard mangas we haven't gotten. The Drakengard 3 manga is perhaps the most messed up thing I've ever read in my entire life, for instance.
Really?
Yeah, so I'll get you the link. But so that's my guess. But I just wanted to bring it up because this is a Coors Library is a bookmark on my phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I mean, not anymore. So this did indeed affect me.
Wow, man, I'm sorry to hear that. That's a bummer.
Yeah. So
got to follow the rules.
Right. Well, and you got to follow the rules as they change in front of you, I guess. This is just the risk of doing anything with copyrighted material in general, I guess.
That's true.
Yeah.
You want to take another one since that was a shorter one?
Sure. I mean, I guess I'll just jump right into the partner showcase, if that's okay with you. This was Xbox. It was like a 30-40 minute presentation. I don't know if you checked it out, Scott.
Did not get to watch it live, no.
But they showed off some stuff. They opened it with a Lake House DLC trailer, Alan Wake's DLC, which is available on the day of this recording. So I bet you can guess what I'm doing after we get done here.
Yeah, right? Lots of Control in there.
Yes, yeah, because you're right. They also announced FBC Firebreak, the Federal Bureau of Control Firebreak. That's a multiplayer shooter set in the oldest house. I'll play it.
Man. It's got to be multiplayer.
Yeah, but at least like what Control is about, all the weird objects, that could really lean into something fun for multiplayer. Like I think in the trailer there was a garden gnome that exploded into an electricity ball.
Oh, that's cool.
So you can get weird with it. And that would be your potential for like live service element, if that's the route they're going, is pretty much limitless. I think there's a fridge in that game, right? If you look away, it kills you.
Yeah.
So someone's got to be watching it 24/7. Yeah, I mean,
they have someone like tied to a chair.
Yeah, and they have to like shift in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's definitely potential there. I'll check it out. I mean, it's Remedy. I'm in. It was.
Are they known for multiplayer? I don't really.
I think this is their first multiplayer game.
That's interesting.
And their first person shooter.
Yeah, I was gonna say because when we watch the trailer, it's in first person. I'm like, if I'm doing something in the Control universe, I'm expecting to be flying around. You know, what I mean?
But I guess it's showing you. Well, you can still do that first person, I guess.
Yeah.
But they're not the director, so they don't get all the powers.
Right, that's true.
Let's leave that for Jesse. But it does show the potential of this Remedy connected universe, right? They can go in all kinds of directions if they want to.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, limitless potential at this point,
right?
Yeah,
and look at the different tones, right? Control is kind of like an action movie, but with this creepy X-Files vibe to it. Alan Wake 2 just went straight up horror, and then you got FPC Firebreak, which seems to be a little bit goofier in its tone.
It's been so long since I played Control, and I played Control like the 2 weeks that it came out. I played through it very quickly.
Right.
I feel like I could go back to that.
Dude, it's great. Have you played the DLCs?
I haven't.
You got a lot to look forward to then.
But like the DLCs, I wouldn't want to start with the DLCs because I will not remember how to play that game.
Well, one of the Foundation, I think, explicitly takes place afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an epilogue anyway. So you wouldn't want to jump right into that after years away, I don't think.
Yeah.
But
I remember the ending, not loving the ending.
Yeah, I thought the ending was okay. I'm with you, it wasn't like great, but the that DLC I think has a really good ending.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I was going to ask. So,
So it's definitely worth it. And, how many 3D Gear Gated games do they make? Right? Not a lot.
right.
So take them while you can. But I don't know anything from this showcase. So are you aware of any of the games at the showcase? I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
No, you're good. Subnautica 2 intrigued me because I've heard a lot of people talk about that game, but I've never gotten into it.
Yeah.
But the fact that the second one's going to have like co-op makes me sit up and take notice a little bit more. I think I'd much rather play a game like that with somebody, not because of the fear aspect. I'm not like thalassophobia or anything like that, but
All right, English teacher.
There's but the building aspect. I feel like I'm building stuff together sounds like a lot more fun. Although it could also be maddening. Like, why'd you build that there?
See, it's like a marriage. It's like a test.
Yeah. That and Phasmophobia. I did not realize that wasn't on Xbox already. That was only PC. I guess.
I guess, yeah. I also thought the same. I feel like I've seen this name forever, but all right.
Yeah, and Animal Well coming to Xbox.
Right.
I heard lots of good things about that, and
came to Xbox. It released the day of the showcase.
Oh, did it? Okay,
yeah.
I didn't see the date, unfortunately, but those are the big standouts for me. But those are also ones that that I already was aware of. I guess the Legend of Babu looks kind of charming.
Yeah, I kind of thought of you when I saw this. It looked a little bit Zelda-esque, I guess, in terms of its adventurous whimsy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that Legend of Babu looked good. As for me, I think Chronos: The New Dawn. Look, man, I'm all on board Bloober train now. This is Bloober Team, developers of Silent Hill 2. This is their new game they just announced.
Which is interesting because you weren't high on Bloober Team before Silent Hill 2.
Right. Well, I liked the medium quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't care about Layers of Fear or anything. But now that I've seen what they could do with Silent Hill 2, they said themselves they're done making crappy games. That's what their director
Their
said.
words?
Yes, yeah. Well, he used a firmer expletive, in fact.
Okay.
But they only want to make good games from now on. So I'll check it out. Like it's like a horror time travel kind of story. All right.
I mean, you got a dude like in a space helmet or something playing chess with an old woman.
Right.
With bloody I got to know what's going on.
Right. It's got some good energy about it.
Yeah. For sure.
And then Mouse PI for Hire continues to look exceptional.
I am not familiar with this one.
This is like the black and white. It kind of looks like Steamboat Willie, but as a first-person shooter.
Oh, I didn't realize that's what it was called.
Yeah,
I remember that game, but
yeah, they just renamed it. I can't remember if it was this showcase or maybe a few weeks ago. But yeah, it's Mouse PI for Hire now, and yeah, it's like a total New York gangster. Oh, I got to investigate this crime. See, that kind of energy. But as a Mickey Mouse dude, blowing dudes away. I think it looks awesome. Can't wait. Very excited for that game.
Yeah, and is this one it's not actually Mickey Mouse? They're not like using the licensing. It's
no,
just,
although they could,
style.
right?
Yeah, that's what I was. That's what I was getting at.
But no, I think they're just using the fact that you can't see. They can play a little, loose with it now, right?
Right. Yeah, I don't have to be quite as careful.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's those are the big standouts for me. Did you have any others?
Nope. I think that's really what stood out for me. Look, man, all the Remedy in the world. How could I ever complain?
Yeah.
And with Alan Wake 2 still not turning a profit, like I kind of hope this FBC Firebreak hits for them just so they have a source of revenue to make their other games.
Yeah, crowdfunding.
Right. I mean, they're making deals with people left and right, which is a bummer because you would have thought with the way Alan Wake 2 was received, it would do a lot better than it did.
Probably an expensive game to make, though. There's a lot of FMV and stuff in that.
Yeah. I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, if they make Control for $25 million.
That was $25 million?
That's what they said, yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty cheap. So I think they're pretty efficient over there in Finland.
Yeah, apparently. I got to talk about this Prince of Persia story. Arguably one of the best games of this year, which is crazy because that came out in January, right?
Yeah, I mean, it started the year off with an absolute bang.
Oh, and dude, I've already been like going over my list in my head. Like I've shifted things so much already Like, I feel like I don't really know where I'm going to land with all this, but still, Prince of Persia, what an incredible game. All the DLC is finally out. I was shocked by this, that the game only sold 300,000 copies.
Right. Well, that was the last time they reported numbers, so we could hope it has sold a few more than that, but we can only work out the information we're given, and 300,000 is what we heard.
I think the price tag honestly hurt that game. I'm not saying the game is not worth that price.
Right.
I was very happy paying the $50 for that game, but I feel like it would be a hard sell for people that aren't entrenched in that to pay $50 for a 2D gear gated game.
100%. Anybody I tried to talk about how great it was, their interest died as soon as they saw the price tag.
Yeah.
It's
come down though. You can get it. I think I saw it for like $20 recently. So
such is the Ubisoft way.
Yeah.
But there's not $50 for I feel like $50 for any 2D game is going to be a hard sell for most of the people, honestly. People listening to podcasts like this probably don't care as long as the game's great.
Mm-hmm.
But just like in terms of like regular gamers or whatever, like that's asking a lot of money, especially for a genre that you can get Hollow Knight for $15.
That's a really good point, and that's a massive game.
Right. So, you got to somehow justify them that Prince of Persia is worth $35 more than that.
And that was at launch, by the way.
Right. Hollow Knight.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But even though modern ones, they tend to cap at 25 or 30.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just so much more. Yeah, I think you're right. I think the price tag was a huge detriment.
Plus, it's not easy. Like, to finish. It's not easy to finish.
Yeah.
That's a tough game. But, I'm really disappointed that we're not going to get a second one. So no sequels, no DLC.
Yeah, which sucks. I mean, I loved Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. It was incredible, and as somebody who rarely shuts up about Prince of Persia on this very podcast,
mm-hmm.
I was so happy that it was as good as it was. I still haven't played the DLC, I suppose, the story DLC. But now it's kind of like it's the last Prince of Persia I'll probably get until that remake that will never come out happens.
Yeah, right.
Which sucks.
I saw all the old ones were on sale on Steam for you get like all of them for like $10 or something.
Yeah.
I thought of you, but
I wonder how they run on Steam Deck.
I mean, I played the
you did. Sands of Time.
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, it ran better than what I remember on the GameCube. So
okay, that's good.
Well, that is the week's news. I want to remind everybody about Patreon before we move on. We are an independently funded podcast, but that's not true. We are funded by our Patreon supporters, people that contribute each and every month to help keep the show alive, and we do appreciate it very much. And we like to give back with those donations with some bonus content. Well, actually, at the $1 tier, you can get the episode a day earlier than everybody else. And at the $3 tier, you'll get one bonus episode each month. And at the $5 tier, you will get 2 bonus episodes. Right now, you can go listen to our Desert Island Games episode with Ben Ruiz of Dino God. Highly recommend you check that out. I think we actually made that one free for everybody, so you don't even have to be at the $3 tier. Had a really great time talking with him. Could have talked for another hour at least more, but we did finally finish about an hour, so check that out. Also, I did an episode with my wife, Stephanie Clark. We called it Married to the Mic, and it was a really fun little conversation. It's been funny, Zach. Her relatives have all been texting me saying, "Hey, I've been looking up this podcast. I can't find it. Where is it?" And I'm like, "Well, it's behind the paywall."
Yeah.
So I gave them the file.
Yeah.
It's family. They're not into games. They just wanted to hear how she was on a microphone. So, but it was a really great conversation, and we got a lot of good feedback on it. So I think we should do that again, but with other members of the cast.
Other spouses.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Have you talked to your spouse? Because you have a spouse now.
It's true, I do. I'm wearing the ring.
Yeah.
I have not floated past her.
You should see what she says. That'd be a lot of fun, man.
All right. Okay.
A lot of fun.
Okay.
Coming up, we do have another Desert Island Games episode with Jacob Gunderson. I did not realize we hadn't done one, and he wants to do one. So we're going to put that on the docket. And at some point, I'm going to do a trade-off episode with Kevin if I can find some time to play some games. But I promise you we will have content out there 2 per month, and we would love it if you checked it out. It is patreon.com/thegocast if you want to sign up. And if you're already a subscriber, make sure you check our website, thegamingoutsider.com. We've got a catalog of all of the Patreon episodes. It's a lot easier to navigate than the Patreon app itself in terms of back episodes. It's really great for the current stuff. It notifies you when new stuff comes out. But if you want to look at some of the older content, we try to make those not time sensitive, outside of maybe the spoiler cast. But check it out. We would really love it. And we do love the support as well. Again, the patreon.com/thegocast. Sign up today. With that, let's go ahead and jump into the new games we've been playing. Okay, man. Once again, I need a list of games I can ignore.
Well, I'm not sure I can give you that list, because right off the bat, you got Call of Duty Black Ops 6 coming to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC October 25th. Important to note, Game Pass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, first time, right?
So curious to see how that's going to do.
Yep.
Very interesting question mark. But on the same day, you have a game that will no doubt be a much bigger deal. Sonic Cross Shadow, Sonic Generations. I know you're excited, Scott.
I mean, I just played it. This is the remake of the remake, I guess.
Well, it's a half a remaster, half Shadow Generations.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a whole other game in here.
It's true. That's fair. I know Kevin will be playing it.
Yeah. But that's coming to all consoles and PC October 25th. Ease 10 Nordics comes to PS5, PS4, Switch, and PC on October 25th. The latest entry of the... What were you saying?
There's 10 of those?
Yeah, man. Well,
I didn't realize...
The original Ease invented the action RPG genre.
With the timed attack, or...
No, like in terms of like an RPG where you get experience points, but you combat in real time.
Oh, okay.
It was the first time. First game that did that. Goblin Slayer, Another Adventure, A Nightmare Feast, coming to Switch on October 25th. That is a full-fledged game based on the incredibly popular manga and anime. Barbie Project Friendship, I put this one here for you, Scott. Coming to
Thank you.
All consoles PC October 25th. Tower of Madness is a horror walking sim coming to PC October 25th. Vengeance Hunters makes its way to PS5, PS4, Switch, and PC October 28th. Life is Strange Double Exposure. This is the return of Max Caulfield in the starring role.
Ah, nice.
And that's coming to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC October 29th. Red Dead Redemption makes its way to PC after 14 years on October 29th. Monster High Skulltimate Secrets allows you to explore Monster High with your own custom-made character. That comes to all consoles and PC October 29th. Vampire Hunters, shooter roguelike, coming to all consoles and PC October 30th. Dragon Age The Veilguard, following up after, 10 years since the last game?
I did not realize that was coming that quick.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, coming on PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC October 31st. The same day as Shadows of the Damned Hella Remastered, which is coming to all consoles and PC on Halloween, as it should. Great game there. Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered comes to PS5 and PC October 31st. And then Redacted. And that's not a clever joke. It's the name of the game. Redacted. Going to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC October 31st. Boy, man, I got to tell you, there's a lot of games on this list that I'm interested in.
Same. I will tell you, I have been commissioned by Joel to play some Black Ops 6 this Friday. I am supposed to install it tonight so that it's ready to go. I told him I'm really only interested in playing the campaign.
Yeah.
But he is insistent that he's going to get me to like multiplayer. I don't believe him.
Interesting he would pick one he hasn't played yet.
I mean, he is a hardcore COD guy.
No, I'm not doubting that. It's just, you think he would want to bring you in on one that he is sure is good.
I mean, has there been a bad one in terms of multiplayer? I'm asking that genuinely because I don't know.
It depends. I mean, I know Black Ops 3 had a really bad reputation. Or 4, Black Ops 4, sorry, Black Ops 4. But I don't know.
4 was the one where they had like the Roman numeral 4, like the 4,
just,
right?
Yeah, that was pretty dumb.
No, but outside of that, obviously Shadows of the Damned Hella Remastered has caught my attention.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I see what you did there. But
It wasn't very clever. I would hope you could see.
just so much to play. Honestly, man, I'm a little nervous about jumping back into that game because I did go back to the 360 version years after, and I was like, I did not remember this game controlling that poorly.
Doesn't it
Like-
just kind of control like Resident Evil 4, though?
Exactly.
So impeccably?
No, it does not play
I don't know.
impeccably.
I guess you just don't know how to use a controller.
So I'm a little worried that might be a stumbling block for me, but I gotta play this. It's been too long, and more people need to play this game. If you guys do check this one out, just know it's freaking weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird game.
And whatever you do, just don't watch the launch trailer for the remastered version.
No, it's awful.
It
That does not sell that
sucks,
game at
dude.
all.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
And it's like dead set on trying to give you a seizure as well for some reason.
Also, one of the coolest sidekicks in a video game ever, and not just for the obvious reasons.
You're talking about your Johnson?
Yes, I don't mean just for that reason, but I remember loving that voice actor. Reminded me of a more energetic Mimir.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
What? And I love Garcia Hotspur. Shout out to, I've never heard a main character say their own name more often.
And we can't say his full name
right.
on this podcast.
His God-given middle name is a curse word for sure.
Oh my God, it's so good. The first time he says it, it's like, okay, I see where we're going with this. I get the tone of this game right off the bat.
He's a great character. He's fun.
Also interested in Life is Strange Double Exposure, but I'm going to backburner that one.
Yeah.
I'm slightly intrigued by Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered just to see how it looks, but I'm not gonna do that. I mean, I could. It's $10 right for the upgrade for me.
$10 for the privilege. Although you do then send the message that stuff's cool, but that's your mileage may vary.
I'm not gonna bother, so you don't have to worry about it.
I'm not worried either. I actually think it's shockingly fair of them.
Yeah,
if they really,
$10.
If they really redid all the mocap and everything,
mm-hmm.
That's. I think I use a comparison, but that's enough effort to where I would upgrade my Blu-ray to a 4K.
Okay, if for $10.
Yeah, if I was a fan of something.
There you go. What about you?
Oh my God, there's so much going on here. Well, Black Ops 6, I really want to play the campaign. Mm-hmm. It's got freaking Saddam Hussein in the trailer. That's crazy.
Yeah,
it's weird that like Call of Duty, the retro Call of Duty storylines have caught up to my lifetime now.
Isn't that crazy?
It's not. It's weird, man. It's like, hey, I remember this, but and then Sonic and Shadow, of course. That's going to be a no-brainer pickup. Although I think that might be a Christmas game for me. Just, it feels like the right time for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ys 10 looks great. Although that's probably because I got into Trails and it's the same developer, so I'm sure it's appealing a little bit more. But this Tower of Madness game. Is a horror walking sim. I'm only interested because you play as a cowboy in it. But it's inspired by The Dark Tower, which is an interesting book series.
Horrible book.
You don't like it?
I did not like the first book at all.
The Gunslinger. Yeah, that one. I'm told that one's hit or miss. Although I don't know. I liked it.
Couldn't even tell you what happened. It just went on and on and on.
It took me like 3 tries to like it. To where I finally pushed through and finished it, but I did like it when I finished it.
All right.
Obviously, Red Dead Redemption coming to PC. Can't wait to buy that game yet again.
That's just Red Dead Redemption 1.
Right.
It's not 2, right?
Yeah, and it comes with Undead Nightmare. No multiplayer though. And then for whatever reason, Redacted's really catching my eye. It's a isometric roguelike action game with kind of a cool comic book aesthetic. But the weirdest part about any of it is that it's set in the Callisto Protocol universe.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's set in the same prison during the monster outbreak, and it's just a roguelike set in that universe. But it's got like a totally different, aesthetic to it, right? It's got this kind of poppy comic book colors to everything.
Yeah.
And it's just a full blown roguelike. It doesn't not similar gameplay at all. Very, very weird. I'm like fascinated by it just because of who would greenlight that.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
You know,
I mean, after the the original game, was such a disappointment for me and many others.
Right. I liked it, just for the record.
I know you did, but
Yeah.
it was not. I think I just wanted Dead Space.
Right.
Is really what.
Which, to be fair, is what their marketing said it would be.
Yeah.
But it was not what the game was. I happen to be apparently in the small pocket of people who liked what the game was.
Yeah, I'm jealous because I really wanted to, and then I heard the final boss was just ridiculous, and I just didn't do it. But I don't know, make a Hades game out of that universe, and that'll work.
Right. Yeah. So I guess if I had to pick one gun to the head, it would probably be Red Dead Redemption PC. But putting that aside, for the sake of it, it would probably be Sonic and Shadow, just because Shadow's my favorite Sonic character, and he's getting a whole little greatest hits collection in this game.
If I had to pick one, it would be Shadows of the Damned.
Yeah,
but I will be playing Call of Duty.
We both picked a remaster. Look at us.
I know.
Yeah.
Let's just both say the campaign for Call of Duty.
There you go.
And just call it a
Yeah.
day.
So that way we feel like we're actually doing something new.
Exactly.
I will play it. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, let's get into the new games you've been playing. You got your hands on Crow Country, which got a Switch. Is it considered a port if it's that new of a game?
I still think it's a port. Yeah. Well, it came
okay?
after the rest of the versions.
Right. It just seems so recent. But all right. So the port of Crow Country.
Cacaw.
I'm intrigued by this because did I say it wrong?
No, I just said cacaw. That's all.
Oh,
I was just saying on brand.
We actually got you a code of this from Neon Hive. The game comes from SFB Games. You're playing on Switch, but it is also available on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. It looks like Final Fantasy VII polygons
Yes, yeah.
with Resident Evil gameplay.
Right. Nailed it.
Old school Resident Evil gameplay. Is that about it?
It's a 1997 time capsule right here.
It looks rad. Is it fun?
Yeah, it is definitely fun. I mean, it is. So what you described is correct, Scott. Like the aesthetics of it are very Final Fantasy VII era, or like that look. Like I don't know, like I think I described in my written review as like they kind of look like little dolls and dioramas.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what FF7 always made me think of. But Crow Country doesn't have fixed camera angles like FF7 or Resident Evil 1 did. You can move the camera about as you will, although it is still like pulled back kind of isometrically.
Mm-hmm.
But you can rotate it at will. But what it blows my mind the whole time I was playing this aesthetically is like, even while you're doing that, it somehow still looks pre-rendered, which obviously is not possible if it's pre-rendered. But it's got pre-render's kind of got that like sheen where you can kind of tell like it's just a background element, and the whole game has that somehow.
Is it maybe just because it's the stark contrast of the characters?
I mean, it could be that, or maybe technology has evolved to such a point where you can kind of simulate the effect without actually having to make it pre-rendered.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever it is, if you were playing games in that era, you're gonna love it. You're just gonna you're gonna feel like you're toasting your feet by the fire. It's just like a nice, comfortable feeling.
Nice, I like it.
And then but the game itself is you play as Special Agent Mara Forrest. She's going to Crow Country, which is a theme park, because she needs to find the founder of the park, Edward Crow, because he's kind of stopped. A couple of years ago, somebody got injured at the park and had to close down, and he's become kind of unresponsive in the legal matters. So she's kind of sent in to check up on him, or make it kind of get his attention again, in some way. But as you would assume of any abandoned theme park in America, it's crawling with indescribable monstrosities.
And they look creepy, even in that, like, that art style. There's one in the trailer where she's shooting at it, and like these just tentacle-looking things come out, and man, it looks creepy.
Actually, I found myself really liking the monster design. There are just kind of like basic zombies sort of guys, but as the game progresses and as time passes, the monsters kind of get a little more grotesque. Kind of like long, spindly limbs, or sometimes they'll just be kind of like goops of body parts that chase after you. They're just really cool and surprising amount of enemy types as well.
Interesting.
Like there's more enemy types in this game than Silent Hill 2, for instance.
Wow.
And it's a quarter of the runtime. It's just but through the limited lens of a PS1 era, so it's not like they have like complex movesets or anything. They just kind of look different and behave slightly differently. But the crux of the game is a lot of puzzle solving, which is what you did in games of that era. Or you think of Resident Evil or the first Silent Hill, very puzzle oriented, and that's what you're doing here in Crow Country. It's a lot of going to rooms, solving puzzles, or oh look, the gift shop's locked. I need the gift shop key, and then you go over to the other area of the park, and the gift shop key's hidden in the claw machine. This is not a real example, by the way. But the claw machine's turned off, so I got to go to the basement, and you got to do like a rewiring puzzle to get the power started, so you can go get the key, so you can go back to the gift shop door.
I'm feeling instantly nostalgic just hearing you describe that, and it's not even a real puzzle I've played before, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, and that is this game in a nutshell. Unfortunately, I do think the game kind of gives away too many of its own puzzles through the memos that are scattered around, which there are obviously memos galore, right, in Resident Evil. But I don't think it ever. You can find ones in Crow Country that just like straight up spell out what you need to do, and that's kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
And they do that too often, I would say, and it's a bummer. That's how you get most of the story as well, is through those memos. But I guess that was just kind of I know that was a storytelling trope of the era, so I don't want to hold it accountable for that. It's just
how long is it?
4 or 5 hours.
Oh wow!
It's a very, very short game. Yeah, so that's but similar to Resident Evil, you're going to get unlocks when you do clear rankings. If you play well enough, you get different stuff. I can't remember what the A rank was.
Was it tofu?
No,
or hunk?
No tofu. I'm sorry, I forget because I was more in love with the B rank clear. And I did not get an S rank, just for the record. Although that gives you like some kind of wings. I think it's a crow launcher is the A rank clear. It's like a rocket launcher but shoots crows, or something like that. But the B rank clear was a crowbar, but it's you can see it already. It was delightful. So like 4 or 5 hours, very condensed experience. Which is cool because you're doing a lot of backtracking and stuff, and I think the short runtime kind of helps you keep the park's layout in your mind, and so you can remember like, I feel like a lot of those classic Resident Evil. I guess I was like a kid when I was learning Resident Evil, but it was like which room needed the crank, but it was easier in Crow Country to keep track of it because it felt like such a small experience. The shooting is free aim, technically. Like
so you don't have to like plant and then move the gun?
Yeah, you will need to plant, but then you can aim. It's not like, like in those old games where you would just have to shoot and it was just kind of like hoping that it hits it.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if you ever did, I would do like that. You would do like that wiggle up and try to shoot the head, even though like it never felt like it worked the way you wanted it to.
Totally.
But in here, you can aim however you want. But because of the strange camera angle, like isometric, imagine trying to aim forward, but when you're pulled back up, it makes it kind of tough to pull off, which is good because you don't want to ever feel like you're dispatching dudes like Leon Kennedy in Resident Evil 4.
Leon S. Kennedy.
You mean Leon Scott Kennedy?
There you go.
Agent of the president. And so it actually works really well because at first I was like, this doesn't feel good. I don't like this. But then you kind of get your bearings a little bit and you're like, oh, I see. Like it's like a nice mixture of feeling like you're in control, but also not in a way where you're ever going to feel like you're great at it.
Yeah.
So it really worked out. That was cool.
And the game is $20.
$20.
I like that.
Yeah, that is very nice. I will say one big note about the Switch version is the load screens are out of control.
Like really long?
Yeah, I would say like 10-15 seconds is probably the average. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you can run from, you go out of the one room into the corridor and then you're going to the next room, right? So it takes you 10-15 seconds to load the corridor. It takes you about 5 seconds to run across it. Now you got another 10 to 15 second load time.
Oh yeah.
Now you're taking 10 seconds to get to the other door. So if you're like doing just like quick backtracking, it feels like it takes forever. and
Yeah.
and it just doesn't. It's not good.
Does it do the Resident Evil thing where it has some like goofy animation?
No, because I know it would be survivable. It's not even a tooltip. It's just a blank black screen.
Oh,
You just see your own dumb face in the reflection of the Switch screen.
remember how cool that was in the original Resident Evil? Like seeing you go upstairs
Yeah, or
during that
open
loading
the
screen, or
door,
the
yeah.
doors opening and stuff like that.
So clever.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, last note, the story, it's good.
Yeah,
I was surprised. I thought, you know, I just thought it was gonna be a throwaway little thing, but by the end, there's like one big twist they try to pull off that is like you're gonna call it within the first 10 minutes.
yeah.
But you know that happens. But then after that, there's like a bunch of twists where you're like, what? And it's kind of like actually interesting, and you're like, it's going to be hard to see where they're going with it, which is cool, which is what you want, right? You want a little something new, and you get that in Crow Country. It was actually kind of interesting, and it had some things in the ending where I was like, man, I kind of want to explore that idea a little bit more, which is good, which is cool. So yeah, Crow Country
That is awesome.
Yeah, I would recommend it. I would recommend you don't play on Switch though. That would be my big takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it is available everywhere else. And I looked around online, and it felt like no one else was complaining about load time. So I assume it's just a Switch problem.
Interesting.
Or maybe I don't know. Maybe it's because I have a launch Switch. I don't know. Maybe it's old. Maybe it's long in the tooth. But no other game feels like it's, you know, taking this long to load, I guess.
Fair enough. Again, that is Crow Country. You get it for $20.
Right.
I like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, you know, I know people are precious about their time to dollars ratio, but you know, I think $20 for an awesome PS1 style game, even at 4 or 5 hours, is definitely worth it. Yeah,
I agree.
But I'm not the only one playing games on the go, it would seem. But you and Scott, I know you wanted to branch out a little this week, so you played Pinball Spire on the Steam Deck.
I actually didn't play this week. I played this before R2V2, and I just did not get a chance to talk about it yet. So I got this a while ago. I did talk about it on Jeff Kanata's podcast, DLC.
I listened.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, of course.
And so you're going to hear me talk about it again, because I really like this game. No joke, dude. Sat down and played through this game in one sitting.
Well,
It took about 4 or 5 hours, whatever. I could not stop playing it.
Really?
Yeah.
You did a 4 or 5 hour session?
Yeah, I mean, it was...
Okay.
I one sitting, I got up. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
but I didn't turn off the Steam Deck, and I played through the entire thing, and I just absolutely loved it. So if you didn't hear me talk about this on DLC, Pinball Spire is pinball without scoring, which, you know, we all love racking up high scores in pinball. But the developer Apparition Games here has really captured the other part of what makes pinball games fun for people like me, which is the figuring out what to do to get to the next area or to unlock different things.
Right.
It's
almost like a pinball adventure, I guess.
Yeah, kind of. Like, do you remember like Mario Pinball Land or Metroid
sure.
Pinball on the DS?
What about Sonic Spinball?
Sonic Spinball is another good one. I really like that game. And you know, it was all about like how to access this new area where I can rack up more points. You know, what can I do to get to this area? That's what this entire game is. It's super fun, and it just does these little puzzly things that you don't see in pinball games. It's just really great. It's just a delightful game, and if you are a pinball fanatic, it's gonna probably come across very easy, but not too easy. The game gives you some tools, like you kind of earn these different abilities. Like one of them is to, you know, give you a guide. Like it'll slow down the ball, and then it'll give you a guide so you know exactly where it's going to shoot. It gives you one ability that makes you kind of dash the ball in whatever direction it's going. Just fun little things like that make it a gear-gated game as well, because you're not going to be able to access up through this area until you get this this ability, as it were. But it's not like backtracking. You know, it's not like in a Metroid or a Castlevania where you go this, and then you have to go back to where you were to use that over here. It's just constantly moving up and up and up. The game does do something kind of...
Spire, if you will.
Exactly. It does do a little bit of it's not a little bit of backtracking. You get near the end, and then something happens, and it forces you to go all the way back down to the beginning again.
Classic.
So you have to go through the entire thing again, but now you have all the abilities, and it's like, why did I struggle with this earlier? This is like super simple now, which is it was kind of fun. Really had a blast with Pinball Spire. I want more of it. Just some very, very clever touches that they did. Like, like right above the flippers, there's usually like a word that's you can light up each individual letter by doing things on the map. So like the one that stands out is you go into this one room and it's completely dark except for like these little torches. And so you have to kind of hit blindly until you figure out that the word light is right above the flippers. And if you hit certain things, it will light each of those letters. And once you get all 5 of those letters, then all of a sudden all the torches come up and you can see clearly.
This definitely seems like a Scott Clark type of time.
It really is. It's a lot of fun. So Pinball Spire, I've been playing it on Steam Deck. It's obviously also available on PC, but not available on other consoles as of this recording. So I would love to see that. That seems like a great game for Switch as well. I mean, I played it portably on there, so.
Right.
But that is it. I got some other reviews for you guys as well. I got a chance to sit down with Mark and Rel, who each reviewed some games for us. I'm going to play this for you right now. What's everybody? I am here with Mark Szymanski. How's it going, Mark?
Good. How are you, Scott?
I'm doing all right. And Rel, long time no see, man. How you been?
Heyo.
How is the young one doing?
Well, he's 5.5 now, and getting to be a real handful, let's say.
Just now?
Well, yeah. Super into Sonic, super into Zelda. He's now tried the original Legend of Zelda as well as Adventures of Link. He can't do very well in either one, but he still tries.
That's awesome. Making him go back and play the class. Is he playing on NSO, I assume? Or you have him going on the original hardware?
No, it's on the Nintendo Switch Online account. I don't have the original hardware anymore.
Gotcha. Well, keep us updated on his progress. Maybe a link to the past would be a little bit easier, right? Those first 2 are just so hard.
Yeah, he's played Link's Awakening as well, but again, he can't really get very far because he can't read.
Oh, that does make it difficult.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't wait to hear progress on that. It's my favorite game of all time, so I got little bit of interest in that. But we're not here to talk about Zelda. We're here to talk about a couple games that you guys have been checking out. I'm going to start with Mark. Mark, I'm really intrigued by this game because I love these movies, A Quiet Place. I actually saw the last one in the theater, and I thought it was really good. There's 3 of them out now, I believe, isn't there?
Yes, there are.
But you played A Quiet Place, The Road Ahead. You played this on PS5, but it is also available on Xbox and PC. Comes from Stormind Games and was published by Saber Interactive. And we got to give a shout out to Sandbox Strategies for hooking us up with a review copy of this one. I watched the trailer, and I am getting all kinds of Doom 3/Alien Isolation vibes from this game. Because, the crux of the movies is you have to be quiet. Is that what's going on here?
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. And it throws in a fun little added bonus of the PS5 microphone will pick up your audio. So if you're just playing along and say your dog barks, I'm raising my hand, your dog barks, it will alert the monsters and they'll come and kill you.
Oh, that's hilarious. If you really want to mess with Mark while he's playing the game, just run into his room and go, watch out for the monster!
Yep, and then I would die and I would hate you. I would hate you very much because the game is hard enough. So I turned that off. It's a nifty little fun addition to the game, but I had to turn it off. The game is hard enough on its own.
Didn't they do that in Alien Isolation as well, where they could hear you if you you had a jump scare and you screamed or you saw something? It would hear you.
No. Well, now I'll have to try that one.
Yeah, right. So tell me about this game. What do you do? Because in the trailer, it just looks like all you're doing is running away and hiding.
There's no point in hiding. You're basically walking quietly away. There is a story though. You are a young girl in the early days of the spoilers.
Outbreak?
The outbreak. That's a good word. We'll call it an outbreak. And so obviously the monsters are everywhere. You go back and forth between day 1 and day 120. So the early days, what her life was like before it all started going crazy. And then here we are in the middle of it, sort of like in the first movie where that family is already aware of how to live and how to survive. You are much the same, except you're on your own. but there's a storyline. So you're at a hospital surviving with your dad and with this community, but the community gets overrun by the monsters. You have to escape to what you think is a safe space where the National Guard is hanging out. And that is the game, is you trying to get there safely and very slowly and very quietly.
Well, yeah, because you can't run, because running makes noise. So it's all about sneaking around, trying to get through without making any noise.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is there any combat? I mean, I assume since you're a little girl running away from these monsters, I mean, nobody really fought them in the movies.
Correct. So you remember the end of the movie, and I believe they are hinting towards that a similar resolution where you are creating some kind of tool that will help you beat them. But as far as I've made it in the game, I'm pretty sure I'm about 60% of the way through it. You are just evading. You are being quiet and evading. There's no weapons, nothing like that. You can throw things to distract them, but you cannot fight them. And you would lose anyway.
Are you finding it enjoyable? Because I know a lot of people, when they hear no combat and you don't do anything but hide and sneak, they might get turned off. Are you finding the fun in it?
I am finding a lot of fun in it, and it's because graphics are fantastic, sound quality is fantastic, story is fantastic. Those things are keeping me going. If it was just a simple be quiet, walk slowly type of game, absolutely not. I'd be right there with any naysayer. But because of the quality of this game, it is keeping me up and going.
Gotcha. So is it mostly the aesthetics that are keeping you going in the story, or is the gameplay keeping you going as well?
No, the gameplay is pretty static. You can try to go walk a little bit faster, but they will hear you. Or you can try to avoid some of the puzzles that, like, there's traps that other homeowners have laid around, and you can disarm those traps, but you have to be very careful about it. And the button presses are very specific. So if you try to go around them and you accidentally bump into it, it'll rattle the cans or whatever, and the monsters will come. There's an inexplicably large amount of aluminum cans lying all over the ground as well for you to kick and make noise. And here come the monsters. You dead again. You die a lot unless you are the most careful gamer of all time. So there are frustrating moments for me because I'm a melee guy. I want to just go and get it over with. I talked about it with Thalassa. That was a fantastic game, but I got really I'm tired of going so slow. And I'm getting that same itch on this one. But I want to see how the game ends.
So it definitely requires a level of patience.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay. The cool thing with this one is it's only $30, $29.99 US. So yeah, I think it looks really cool, and I love that property has gotten some legs, and just outside of that one movie. I love the first movie. The second one was surprisingly good. The third one, I was shocked at how much I liked it, and people seem to like this franchise. So kudos to them.
And
again, that is go ahead.
8 to 10 hour game for $30. You can't complain.
Yeah,
doesn't
absolutely.
overstay its welcome. It's great.
That is A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead. Again, you can play that on Xbox, PlayStation 5, or PC. Comes pretty highly recommended from Mark. Another game that we're going to talk about comes from Rel. I'm going to go on a limb and assume that this is highly recommended, because when I put this one in our chat on Discord, he was all over this. But I got to ask you, Rel, because I don't understand. Is this a DLC for the original game? Oh, let me get the title first. Astlibra Gaiden, the Cave of Phantom Mist. You reviewed the original game for us, and this is DLC for that. It's not a standalone game?
Correct. And actually, I have two separate recommendations. If you loved the original game, yes, you should absolutely get this DLC. If you've never played the original game, no, don't get this DLC. Get the original game.
Yeah. It's usually the way it goes. But looking at the trailer, it seems, I gotta be honest, I barely remember talking about the last one. I feel like it's been so long. But
it has
side-scrolling, platforming. The thing that stood out to me in terms of aesthetics is, I mean, the colors are vibrant and there's a lot going on the screen. But I love how at the bottom it's got this menu that scratches my Final Fantasy VII nostalgia itch a little bit, like in terms of what it looks like. Like you've got the different stats and stuff that just look like the battle screen on Final Fantasy VII. I know it's not that kind of game, but that's what it looks like.
Right. That's an interesting take.
Yeah.
So it's less platforming. It's more like Link's Awakening. No, not Link's Awakening. Sorry, Zelda 2: Adventures of Link. But without like pitfalls or anything. It's just 2D action RPG. Beat up monsters, cast big old damaging spells, grow your stats, and just keep going. So that was the original game.
Mm-hmm.
This version of the game starts you out kind of in the middle of the story of the original game. You play as the baker's daughter as opposed to the hero of the original. And something happens that requires that you go into the Cave of Phantom Mist and rescue the hero and the other main characters of the original game. And it uses the same like combat system. It uses the same stat growth system. The big difference is that this is a roguelike. So in the original game, there is a point, and I only mention this because, it's important to know for fans of the original whether or not they're going to like this. In the original game, there is a point at which you have to go through a roguelike sequence where the dungeon that you're going through is randomized. Most of the game has handcrafted levels. There is one point where you do go through a randomized dungeon sequence.
Mm-hmm.
The DLC is entirely that.
Ah, okay.
So if you enjoyed that part of the original game, this is that plus more. If you didn't enjoy that part of the original game, you're not going to enjoy this.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But all the same like rules apply. You kill enemies, you gain different colors of what's called force, and then you spend that force to grow your stats on this big old giant stat grid. And this has been greatly simplified because in the original game, it was in various shapes and there were mazes and things were locked behind progression. In this version, it's just 6 rows, a certain number of rows, I can't remember the exact number, of your stats. And it's just in long rows as opposed to designs and mazes and everything else. So it's very easy to be like, all right, I want to be raising my HP. It's all along this row. And you spend that color force to unlock that permanent stat upgrade for that stat. You go back into the dungeon, you beat up more monsters, you get further and further, get more stats, unlock more weapons, get weapon XP to unlock abilities from those weapons, so on and so forth. It's really great if you enjoy the like gradual dopamine release of numbers get bigger, and also you are now learning just magic powers that clear the entire screen of enemies.
Yeah, I noticed that in the video. There's one elemental, or I don't know if you call it elemental, but like these giant meteors just come crashing from the sky and destroying enemies. That looks like a lot of fun.
I love that spell. There's like avalanches of snow that sweep across the entire screen. There's black hole spells. There's tornadoes that you can summon. There's lava that erupts from the ground. They did create a whole new set of spells for this game. And there's a lot of returning stuff as well. Like, the Colosseum that was in the original that presented combat challenges. This time it's just bosses from the original game that unlock stuff for you. And a lot of returning weapons, a lot of returning items. The scale system is back where you can just gain bonuses to everything from placing items on the scales. It's a lot of different systems that really works if you love the whole get stronger aesthetic.
I do, and my concern watching the trailer was, and maybe they're just hyping it up because they want you to be able to see how powerful you can get. But there was as a person that doesn't see that ramp up like you did while you're playing it, there is so much going on the screen at one time. It felt very difficult to keep track of. Does it lead up into that, or does it come right out the gate swinging?
Well, I think kind of yes and no. Like the original game, certainly it unlocked things very gradually and let you get used to all the different things before, you were just this ridiculous god-destroying force of nature.
Mm-hmm.
But in this game, it's a little bit accelerated because this is like maybe 12 to 15 hours tops in like start to finish. And so, like I said, if you haven't played the original game, go play the original.
Yeah.
It's basically, I don't want to say it's a tutorial for this because the original game has a few things that this DLC doesn't, or at least it does so far. But in this one, things do ramp up faster because I feel like it is assumed that you have played the original game. Mm-hmm. So you get certain items sooner. You get certain abilities are unlocked a lot sooner. And it's assumed that you know this stuff.
Right.
There's not a whole lot of tutorialization in this game, so if you haven't played the original, again, go play that. It does do a much better job of introducing all of these systems and getting you used to it before, just dumping everything all at once on you.
And just for a refresher, what is the full name of the original game?
So the full name is Astlibra Revision, because I guess the original game got updated by the creator when it came over to Western audiences, and he did a lot of like balancing and changes and additions. And so the original Astlibra Revision, it's available for like $25 on Steam and Switch. I played it on Switch. The only downside that I would say to the Switch is that when you do cast those big screen clearing spells, I don't know if it's intentional or if it's just poorly coded, but the frame rate just crashes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Last question I have for you is one other thing I noticed while you're doing in the trailer, while some of that combat's going on, I saw some button prompts come up, like right D-pad, left D-pad, or whatever. It felt like QTE is. Is there things going on mid-battle that you have to do as well besides just mashing regular buttons?
So those are the spells. Basically, the way it works is you hold down X, again, switch, and you input the direction combination for those spells. And so, for instance, fire spells are like up, up, but there's a setting that you can toggle, and it's on by default, that it pauses the action while you have the X button pressed. So you have infinite time to select whichever spell you want. There are shortcuts, like, fire spells are up, up, like up twice, but if you just hit up, it'll default to a fire spell. Or if you just hit down once, it'll default to a water spell. And ones that are, like the black holes and whatnot, that's left, right, you have infinite time to choose. And that's even a mid-battle pause button if you need it.
Oh, very cool. So it sounds like you recommend this one, but only if you played the first one. And if you haven't, go play that one for sure.
Yeah, and also, again, if you remember the roguelike section in the original game, if you did not like that part, you probably wouldn't like this, because this is more of that. It's basically the exact same gameplay style. It's just condensed slightly, and it doesn't really, I feel, give enough of new lore content for someone to play if they didn't like that part of the original game.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. All right, that is Astlibra Gaiden, The Cave of the Phantom Mist. You're playing it on Switch, but it is also available on PC. Developed by, is it Kaizo? Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yep.
Kaizo Games. Published by Whisper Games and was provided to us by PR Hound. That DLC is only $10, $9.99 US. So be sure to check that one out. Sounds like Rel is having a good time with it.
I love it.
Awesome. Well, that's all the time we got. Rel and Mark, thank you so much for stopping by, guys. As always, it is a pleasure.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. I love listening to Rel tell his stories. It makes me want to go out and get a game.
I talk too long. It's eaten into your Astlibra playing time.
Yeah, exactly. All right, gentlemen, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll talk to you next time.
Later.
Thank you, gentlemen. As always, it's a pleasure. Before we move on to our topic, got to say hello to some new members. R2V2 was good to us. We got a lot of new Facebook followers, so so bear with me, Zach. I want to say hello to Lane Kelly. Actually, it's the spouse of one of the sponsors this year, so that was awesome. Mason Searles, Brady Coyne, Trinity Alexander, Dylan Castro, Jordan Patterson, Ben Childers, Ari Ariola. She's the one that won the cosplay costume contest. I don't know if you saw the video of that.
Yeah.
She dressed up like is it Ranny?
Yes, Ranny the White Ship.
She did a fantastic job. Michelle Bryant, Jess Noel, Sarah Dean, Brock Fuller, former student, Chris Fien, Jory Bechtel, former student, Ryan Curtis, Alex Marquez, Kyle Carr, he's the guy that provided all the arcade cabinets, Melissa Hughes, Jonathan Gosler, Jake Holman, Draco Vex, and Israel Adame. Welcome to the Facebook community. Hope you guys are enjoying the conversations over there. Also, new Discord members. Want to say hello to Thunder Lion, Sasha Monkey, Fami, Shirokuru73, Kuro Brightcoat. That's actually Ari. Once again, she joined the Discord as well. Welcome to the community. We're glad to have you there. Also, if you guys get a chance, drop us a review on Apple Podcasts. It helps us get the word out. Our website is thegamingoutsider.com. You can find all of our written content, which will be updated this week because Scott is playing catch-up this week on getting all the reviews posted, so you will see some more on there. You can also find all the episodes. Again, it is thegamingoutsider.com. With that, we are going to jump now into our From the Outside In topic. This week, I wanted to talk about the startup sounds and music that our consoles make when we turn them on. There are some noticeable standouts, but we wanted to talk about our favorites and whether or not they're even needed in today's climate anymore. And the more I think about it, man, the more I'm realizing that modern consoles don't really have anything catchy. I don't even really notice it. Maybe just a little whoom or something like that, like
right?
PS5 or Xbox.
PS5's got that beep, the spousal alert beep. They know when you're.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
What are you doing?
They know when you're playing PlayStation when you shouldn't.
Yeah. I guess Switch does the snap, right?
Yeah, does it?
I think it does it when you get to press 3 times.
Yeah, that little button.
Right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't really do it when you first start it, but it does. Once you do that, it definitely makes that snap noise,
Okay.
which is cool. But so why do you think that is? Why do we not have these little jingles anymore?
Look, I mean, I think the real answer is these companies aren't fun anymore.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna go that.
They PlayStation takes itself so seriously anymore.
Mhm.
You know, and that started a while ago, no doubt. But it's just like that company wouldn't be caught dead doing something that fun anymore. You know, and they so desperately want to be like the Apple for video games.
Yeah,
Which is fine, you know, do whatever you got to do, but they clearly not needed. I don't, you know, the hardware selling is as good as ever.
well, that was gonna be my point. Is I feel like the brands that are out there are so out there. Like everybody knows all 3.
Right.
You know what I mean? Nobody's like, what's this Switch I keep hearing about? You know what I mean? That's not a thing.
Yeah.
Whereas back when some of these older consoles were they weren't even brand new by any means because their previous consoles existed, but brand awareness was definitely a thing. You know, you knew when somebody was turning on a Game Boy near you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Right. You know, but also like the tone of games has kind of skewed older, right? Like, you know, you think about PlayStation,
yeah,
and the brands are God of War and The Last of Us and Horizon, or Xbox. You know, it's you know, Master Chief. You got Gears of War cutting dudes in half. You got Skyrim, the super serious, you know, a space RPG. So it's just like the games aren't. I don't know. I guess they're not going for the jovial sort of tone anymore. So I guess it just makes sense that the hardware wouldn't either.
that's a really good point, actually. Yeah. So most of my favorites were covered by the community.
Yeah, same of course. Yeah.
Like the one that I didn't see listed by anybody was like the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance. Remember the Game Boy Advance where like the letters would kind of like spiral in and would just make this chiming noise? Like
Yes. Oh, yeah. I'm hearing it right now.
Yeah,
Whether
yeah.
I want to or not.
And then like I said, the original Game Boy, you see the word Nintendo slowly like just come up
Yes.
on there, and then once it hits the middle, it just makes the
Get that little-
coin noise.
That little chime.
Simple, effective. I liked it. The original Nintendo had this great thing where you would press the button on, and then the game would just flash on and off on the screen every time you tried to start up a game. Remember that?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Never had that problem with the Super Nintendo.
Oh yeah,
Never had that issue. Whatever. Never had to blow into a Super Nintendo cartridge.
but that's part of the fun. That's part of the experience.
Sure. Just like the crappy controls in Resident Evil were a feature.
Yeah, dude. Of course, it made combat harder on purpose.
Were there any others off the top of your head that you can think of that weren't mentioned?
Well, there are two that I truly care about that give me the warm fuzzies, and one of them is all over these comments, so we'll get to that. But the other that I didn't see was the original Xbox.
I had thought of that one too, where it was like the green electricity.
Yeah, and it's kind of like shocking the logo to life. You know, it's like it's 2000s as hell. No doubt.
Yeah.
You know, it's got like total like Spike TV awards energy to it. But
it's still cool.
No, of course, yeah. When I was right age for it, and you know that's where I played a lot of games I still love to this day. You know, Splinter Cell, Prince of Persia, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean the Xbox is associated with a lot of my core gaming memories, and seeing that little science experiment startup logo was definitely part of it.
I kind of like the first time I booted it up, man. I bought mine off of eBay.
Okay.
And first game I played was Bloodwake.
Nice.
I had to play Bloodwake. I thought that game was going to be so cool, and it was fun for a minute. But yeah, I remember my apartment and where my TV was in my apartment at the time when I set that up, and then eventually hopped over to Halo, which man, it was all over after that.
Well, yeah, of course, that was a legitimate game changer.
Yeah,
it
was awesome.
But even like the electricity thing kind of like fades out to like a quick little chime noise, and then if you sit on the dashboard, it's got all those creepy whispers in the background.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no one would be doing that today. That kind of personality into a piece of gaming hardware.
It's just sad. Games are still fun, guys.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I'm with you, man, but we're of the era of gamer that's nostalgic for that stuff. And, you know, I think it just strikes me as sad that, you know, the people growing up on PS5 aren't going to have that kind of fond thing to look back on.
Yeah.
I guess I'll probably just be thinking back on Fortnite, I guess.
I was just going to say it. Oh, you mean my Fortnite machine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to sound too much like the old man in the room.
I know, right? I get that. One of my students told me I looked like I was 54 yesterday.
That's savage.
54.
Come on, man.
I guess I'm only 9 years off, but still.
They were just saying that to mess with you.
I don't think so. Well, let's see what the community said, because I agree with a lot of these. But I'm going to be honest. This first one, I don't know if I've ever played a Sega Master System. Rob Matthews says that system for sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've never even played a single game on that console. I don't know the sound. Do you?
I don't think so.
Kevin is really mad at me right now, but that was like the equivalent to the NES, right?
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm. But I'm just, I'm not totally confident I played a Master System, and if I did, it obviously wasn't for a length of time where it mattered.
Yeah. So sorry, Rob. I can't relate. I should have looked up the sound, but I obviously wouldn't have any nostalgia for it. I'm gonna read Aaron's as well. Aaron Hughes II says PS1 always sticks with me, but PS2 and GameCube are right behind it. Not to mention how much the GameCube one has been memed. As to importance now, in my opinion, probably not. The brand loyalties have hit their peaks, and I don't think Doodlebops, when one boots up their console, will make a difference or hold much anymore. But who knows? I'm just a PC gamer. That's the nice thing about PC. You can have whatever startup noise you want.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of interesting. I had thought about what the Steam Deck's got a little bit of personality with those the deck videos you can set.
Oh man, Mike was showing us those when we were.
Yeah.
You actually have some of the original chimes. They just changed the.
Well, he's using like modded ones.
Yeah.
I just use the ones from the Steam store that you get with your dumb purchase points.
Oh, you can use those on those?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know that, because I've got hundreds of thousands of those sitting there.
Yeah. I just every time I save up 3,000, I just exchange it for a startup video, and then I have it in my settings where it's random on each boot up.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Never know which one you're gonna get.
Right. I think they just added Last of Us and God of War ones. Deck startup
cool.
screen. So yeah. So that's fun. There's a little bit of personality in a piece of modern gaming hardware.
Yeah, totally. We should have that be a thing more often, like be able to change it to be whatever you want, or at least choose them, or you would pay money for those, I feel.
Sure. Well, I shout out to Valve for not charging money.
Oh yeah, totally.
Any other company would.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just your points they give you anyway.
Yeah, I guess I really should go cash some of those in.
Yeah, dude. I think you should. Just jumping over to, or unless you had something else to say.
Well, he mentioned PS1 that always sticks with him. Let's just kind of relegate to that one.
Yeah.
This is one that is so iconic to me.
Right.
The original PS1, for a couple of reasons. Because one, it felt like you were booting up a PC. There was something about that image quality that did not feel like a console, because this was our first disc-based console, right?
For many people, yeah. Unless you know, I don't think you were. You don't strike me as a Sega CD guy, Scott.
No. That's right. That did come before that. But yeah, that orange, like diamond looking thing with that just like hum going.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it just that image and sound I'm hearing in my head right now just felt like I'm about to have a good time.
It sounded almost otherworldly. It felt like you were being transported.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
And then when it finished, it was like, okay, I'm in Gamerland now. That's the other one that I was referring to.
Mm-hmm.
That's the startup sound, and I know it is for many people. It's so iconic, and no matter where I hear it, it's gonna feel good when you hear it.
It also gave me a sense of fear that my disc was going to be readable, because it was that panic moment of, I think it was maybe worse with the PS2. I feel like the PS2 had more issues.
I would agree with that, yeah.
But still, there was occasions where it would not. But man, and then it did, because it did that hum thing, right? But then it just had these ambient like doo, 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 things after the end of it.
Yeah, a little bit of the trail off.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it, man. I want to go back to the PS1 era now.
I do remember the panic of renting a game, and it takes a little bit too long to boot up. You're like, oh no, does my weekend just get ruined?
Yeah, because you can't like drive yourself back,
and there's no way mom's going back.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so you were stuck. But
you want to do the next one?
Jumping over to Joseph Choi's comment, he says, "Dreamcast, it's just a calming sound." It was. It felt cozy.
Mm-hmm.
And then, while I'm here, Tyler Seaver just says Sega. I assume he means Sega. The chant?
No, I would assume it was the Sega.
Well, yeah. I'm sorry. I was thinking about the ad. That's what I meant.
The ad.
That's what I meant. That's what my brain was saying, and it filtered incorrectly through my mouth.
Yeah, I mean, it was iconic for the commercials for sure.
Yeah.
Like, even there was a racing game where the guys like, he had a helmet on and he just flipped up the goggles and was like Sega, and his eyes were all big and wide.
Yeah. No, yeah, but I was thinking of the Sega. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a great sound.
It was. Jake Holman says GameCube, especially if you held the Z button on startup. I did not do that.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody else comments on it later, but apparently there's a thing like there's voices and stuff. Or
yeah, it's like a baby laughing kind of sound.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Not in a creepy way, in like a fun way.
Oh, okay, that's good.
I swear, it's not.
But
haunting.
I love that one. That even the animation of that was just so cool.
Yeah.
It was like just tiles bouncing back and forth and
rotating into the shape of the G, and then it has that big flourish at the end. Yes, yeah, it's so good. But the if you hold on Z while you're booting up, it's like a giggle all the way around, and then it laughs and goes ha ha ha. It's like
that's funny.
Yeah, I don't know why they added that. So why would they do that?
It's
so
very
weird.
Random. Aaron mentioned earlier something about it. It's been memed to death. That is one.
Yeah,
I have it still saved to my phone. It's like just the whole opening thing with the sound and everything, and then when it goes it just has the words "go f yourself."
Oh.
Like it's like if you send to somebody.
How adorable.
Yeah. Or there's one where someone just like made it a never-ending loop. Like the tiles just keep going off of the screen, and then they just kind of go in random orders, and it just keeps going and going, and you never get that satisfaction of the boom at the end.
I hate that. I don't like that at all.
I know. I watched it for a while before I realized it was looping. A little ashamed to say it.
Well, Kyle Boggs writes in with the absolute, sound of all time. PS1 is burned into my brain for life. I saved up for so long and got a day one with SimCity and Twisted Metal. Still my favorite console ever made. What a life Kyle was living.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, good for you, Kyle.
My first Twisted Metal was so...
It was so
bad by today's standards, but it was such a cool idea.
Yes, but it was so fast at the time, you know, and in 3D, you're like, how is this even possible?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No.
2 is superior.
Sure. Of course.
So many ways.
Yeah.
But even that looks dated nowadays.
I mean, even Twisted Metal Black looks dated these days.
Oh, man. Remember how cool Twisted Metal Black was, but it wasn't nearly as fun as Twisted Metal 2?
Yeah, but it was so edgy,
Yeah.
It was so metal, bro.
Oh, man. Some of those intro videos were disturbing.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was great. Live action, a lot of them too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they were all live action. But then piggyback off them, John Jones said so many good ones, but gotta go with PS1. And Chase Jensen wrote in, the original PS1 startup noise is the one for me. We'll never forget it, and there hasn't been a better one since.
It's hard to argue with that.
Yeah,
it's just so iconic.
It's so good. Yeah.
The GameCube one is solid, but at the same time, you always felt like you're going to get a Nintendo game.
Yes.
Whereas with PlayStation, you never knew what excitement you were about to have.
Well, and then the startup sound finishes, and you're in Final Fantasy VII. You're like, okay, I'm in a different world now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm totally sold on being in another universe.
I wish I could recapture that feeling of the opening of that sound followed by the intro to Final Fantasy VII when I'm about to go on an epic freaking journey.
You should play Dragon Quest XI.
Maybe.
It's
Maybe.
not quite that good, but it gave me the same warm fuzzies you got from that era, for sure.
Perfect. Sean Coates writes and says, I don't really have a particular favorite startup sound, but I do remember the first time I heard the GameCube sound. It was 2001 and I was 16 at that point, and something about that sound made me feel like I had outgrown Nintendo. At that age, you're in this strange middle ground where you've outgrown your childhood but haven't yet developed any nostalgia for it. At that time, the GameCube's whimsical xylophone felt a bit more youthful, while I was starting to gravitate toward more mature gaming experiences on hardware like PS2 and Xbox. Looking back now, I can appreciate the charm of it, but at the time, it signaled a shift for me. Interesting.
I mean, that is the age where you think you're an adult, but you're still a kid.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but I love the idea of an angsty 16-year-old hearing the GameCube noise, be like, "This is for babies," and then you go over to the Xbox, you're like, "Yeah, that's right. Yeah, torture this green blob. That's what I like." Yeah, it's good stuff.
You're up.
No, I know. I was just laughing at Sean. Sean at 16. All of us at 16, really. Brandon Smith writes in, so many, but PS1 and PS2 are probably the ones I think of first, followed closely by the occasional Sega chant.
Hey, you got it right that time.
Yes, my brain finally caught up.
Grant Henry wrote in and said, GameCube, by far, it's so musically jarring and a surprising move for Nintendo. It's some sort of weird whole tone thing. One of my bands ended up covering it, and you didn't see this, but he actually had a link for a YouTube video of his band doing that, and it sounds pretty spot on.
I'm sure.
Really good. I'll have to send you the link so you can hear it.
Yeah, no doubt. I shall do. But jumping over to Discord, Mark Zamansky writes in, this is tough. The Windows 95 startup gives me goosebumps. The early days of AOL, so much possibility. The Xbox 360 was really cool. Tops for me, it was the Sega Genesis. But it has to be immediately followed by the Sonic music. And pop, 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 do, 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 do. It's hard to translate that into...
So like when Sonic starts up, it's like
yeah, no, I get it. It's just I don't have musical talent, man. I can't translate hyphenated pop 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 doo 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 into music. That's what you're here for. You can do that.
I tried. Paul Hine followed it up with AOL Instant Messenger, that door sound. This was in response to Mark talking about Windows 95 startup. I never would even considered that, but it's hilarious. The door sound of AOL, it was so loud. You remember that?
Yeah.
It was like if someone left, he's like, are they mad at me?
Right. It was a door slam sound.
Yeah.
Just when they left. They'll be like, yeah, TTYL. All right.
Yeah. It was like, all right, I guess we're done here.
But then it's so funny because when they sign on, it's just like a little door creak sound. You're like,
yep.
They're sneaking into the conversation, but when they leave, they want you to know.
Oh, man, that just... I forgot about the creek until you said that. I just had this wave of nostalgia. It just washed over me. Remember ICQ? Did you have ICQ, or is that after your time?
That might have been before my time. Wait, no.
It wasn't.
I don't know.
It was another chat messenger service,
Okay,
like AOL Instant Messenger,
right,
but it was like this
so.
little flower, and every time someone would send you a message, it would go, uh-oh.
No, I definitely don't remember that.
It was so annoying.
I mean, or at least at my school, it was MSN Messenger. It was the one everybody wanted to use.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but I always liked AOL. Yeah,
I mean,
the classic sound effects.
You've got mail.
Do you remember your first AOL Instant Messenger username?
No.
Oh, okay.
I assume you do.
Well, yeah. Well, now I feel embarrassed. But I was Darklink 1000. That was my name.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Mine was probably something dumb like Scott Clark.
That sounds
1980.
Like you're probably your zip code too while you're at it. Hey,
My social security number.
If you like playing games, I live at this address. Come check it out.
Yeah, that definitely would be me. Get 2 more.
Yeah. Alan Scheck writes in, they all bring back such good memories. That was the sound of being about to play video games. The most memorable for me is holding Z on the GameCube to get the squeaks and children laughter instead of the original sound.
I gotta go YouTube this.
Yeah, do.
I don't think I ever did that. And lastly, Jay Henry says, growing up, my uncle would travel the world and would bring back a lot of stuff for me and my brother. Something I would never forget is my uncle coming back from Japan with a PSX, the PS2 with an integrated digital recorder. The startup intro was so beautiful, and that console was, at the time, way ahead of its time. That startup would give me absolute chills. Side note, my aunt destroyed it during their divorce and brings it up almost every time we are at family events. Not my favorite aunt.
I mean, I would tell that aunt probably to go straight to hell, honestly. You don't have to. Jay, I'm sure you're an adult based on the story. So you could just tell her to get out of there.
Yeah.
You know?
I think you're saying it nicer than you would say it out loud if we weren't on a podcast.
Probably. I mean,
yeah.
I told an uncle of mine that his divorce was his fault to his face at a Thanksgiving, and I didn't like him there, and he never came back to Thanksgiving. So results can happen.
Win-win.
Well, yeah, dude, it all works out. So Jay, I'm just saying, maybe let her know tell her the divorce is her fault. Maybe that'll get her out of there.
Yeah, we didn't talk too much about the PS2 startup. That one was the one that had like the towers, remember?
Yeah.
Which I learned later in life were actually like showing how much memory you had of for each game.
Yeah, I feel like I learned that like 3 weeks ago.
I feel like it was like very recent for me as well too. I never knew that.
For all I know, it could be a misinformation campaign online.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it feels right because
it does.
I never did figure out why there was more or less. Dude, the memory card menu on PS2 though was so fun seeing the different little icons.
Oh yeah, each game had its own icon.
Yeah, and some of them
were animated, weren't they?
Right, some of them were animated, and some of them would change based on how far you were through the game.
Yeah, I don't miss memory cards having to save games that way, but I kind of miss that.
See, memory card PS2 never bothered me with memory cards because the cases would have those little slots in them, so you could always keep it safe. Or if you're going to a friend's house, it's an easy way to make sure you didn't lose it.
Right.
But yeah, PS1 always felt like an ordeal.
Totally.
Or I remember playing Final Fantasy X on PS2. I loaded my save from the memory card, and then my cousin had like some ATV Off-Road Fury save or something like that he wanted to copy to his, and he brought it over there. And he was supposed to come back later that day, but then his mom didn't bring him back over, so I had to just like leave Final Fantasy X in the middle of a boss battle because it was turn-based until I could get my memory card back. Because I was feeling uncomfortable with the progress I made without saving, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess memory cards had some drawbacks for sure.
Yeah, that's all we could do at the time.
Right, dude, you're just held hostage by the memory card.
Well, dude, like, you go back to like the NES era, there was nothing.
Right. Yeah. Only very the ones that did have memory, right, had a super expensive cartridge.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like you just had to leave the console on overnight. And put the controller over the red light so your parents wouldn't realize that you left it on overnight.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that trick.
Then hope that it was still on in the morning. Otherwise, you had to just start the whole game over again, which wasn't bad because it was fun to play anyway.
All right. Yeah. Dude, I love all the tricks of, tricking your parents.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure they probably knew most of it.
They probably knew.
Yeah.
Well, that was a fun topic. I appreciate you being here, man.
Dude,
That was
going down memory lane with you.
I love it.
Yeah.
It really makes me want to fire up my PS1 again and go back and play some of those. I have. Oh, that was the question I was going to ask. Is I've got the PS1 Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Where they do that. I've not opened it, never used it. I wonder if that does the same startup menu.
Well, there's one way to find out.
And I wonder if the PS5 the new PS5 that they did starts with that.
There's no way.
There's no way it does, or there's no way it doesn't.
There's no way they're fun enough to do that. I mean, shout out to the USB connector that looks like a controller cord.
Yeah.
Good on them for that. But
I just remembered I pre-ordered that controller.
Yeah, it's coming.
I totally forgot about that until just now.
Yeah, it should be coming when I get back from Japan.
That'll be nice because I don't have a second PS5 controller, so now I actually can have a second one in the cradle.
There you go. That you could never use.
Oh no, I'm using.
No,
that
I mean like, you will have controllers on standby that you're not using.
Yeah, I feel like I never run out.
Right.
PS5. Those last a while, except for an Astlibra.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I just charge mine at the end of every day, and it's good to go.
Well, I do too, but if I'm doing I haven't played a long enough session to run out a PS5 controller.
Yeah, I kind of miss that. Playing long enough to where you actually need to worry about battery life.
Right?
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Well, that was fun. Next week's topic is still yet to be determined, so stay tuned for the socials on what we're going to talk about. But that is going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Thank you so much for listening. This one was produced by Kevin Honigford, and all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemmage and Metroid Metal. His website is stemmagemusic.com. Got to see him this weekend, by the way. He was in Chicago again for the Pinball Expo.
Oh, nice. There you go. That's cool.
Got to hang out with him for a bit, play some pinball with him.
Did you play Avatar?
Actually, no. I did not play Avatar because I played a whole bunch of it when I was up at Louis' Tap House. But I played a whole bunch of other stuff. Got to play a Sonic homebrew table.
Nice.
That was pretty sweet. Talked to that dude. He is willing to bring it to R2V2 next year.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I saw a Borderlands 2 pinball table. Again, homebrew. This guy just made it. He can't actually sell it because of licensing, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But he did something that I've never seen before, and I thought it was super rad. He has the table under the glass on hydraulics. 3 different points of hydraulics. So the table itself actually moves up and down. There's a mechanic on the table where you go to the bar and you have a beer and you get drunk. So the table is rocking back and forth. But then there's another moment where you hit something and you take your hands off the flippers and there's a little, there's a little flat piece of plastic that's connected by wire. And you take your hands off of the pinball sides, off the flippers, and you hold this thing and now you're tilting it. It's got a gyroscope in it. And you tilt the table and you completely are trying to get the ball into the holes by tilting it. Like one of those old Labyrinth games.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Just incredibly clever stuff that they're doing with pinball machines. It was awesome. There was one that was just like a barrel, and you actually put your hands around the barrel, and the flippers are on the other side, and then you just look down into the barrel and play pinball. It's just really cool stuff.
A lot of fun ideas, I guess.
Yeah, had a super good time out there. Spent some money on some. I bought a Pac-Man board game that I remember from my childhood.
Oh, nice.
Actually, Jacob bought that one for me.
Is this your 16th Pac-Man board game?
Probably,
yeah.
But this one was one I actually had as a kid. It actually has little marbles, and you go around and eat the marbles.
Oh, okay.
Pac-Man.
That's fun.
It was cool. Anyway, got off on a tangent there. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. You got any parting words or recommendations, sir?
You guys, well, shout out to I saw Unrated in the theater. That was fun. Because it did a re-release. But also I saw Rebel Ridge on Netflix.
Oh, I've heard about that.
Dude, it's so good. Holy crap.
Yeah.
What an excellent action movie. It's smart too. And it has a lot of clever things happen. And it feels like I don't know, there's a lot of good character beats, and I don't know how to say it. They go a little darker than I would expect. It's been a long time where I watched a movie and you're like, I don't know who is or isn't safe here. And that was nice.
That's cool.
But on top of that, it was just a really kick-ass action movie.
I now that I've canceled Netflix, I keep hearing all this awesome stuff that's on Netflix.
I'm sure that's the algorithms somehow are, conspiring around you to try to get you to sign up
Probably.
again.
I got a book recommendation. I haven't finished the book yet, but I'm actually physically reading this book.
Oh.
It is a book that my students are required to read for school in 8th grade English language arts, and I'm reading it along with them. I'm actually reading it out loud to them. It's called Fahrenheit 451.
Oh,
Are you
yeah.
familiar?
Of course. That's the temperature at which paper burns.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I got something cool to tell them tomorrow when we do this. Anyway, I've never even heard of this book. I thought there was a movie called Fahrenheit 451, but I thought that might have been something different. Anyway, it is a dystopian story that is, I'm not going to lie, it's a little dry to start out with. But the fascinating thing about reading this book is that it was written in the 50s. And he's kind of foretelling the future.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's a little,
in terms of
a little poignant to read today, huh?
Holy cow! And my students it's lost to them,
of course,
because they've never lived in a world where they don't have a computer in the palm of their hands at all times.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But Beatty, one of the firemen, goes on this rant about how films used to be like these long epics and books used to be these long things, and now they're all condensed down to 15 minutes because people don't have the attention span anymore. And I'm like, dude, this book is 70 years old.
And they called it.
Yeah. So I can't tell you how it ends, but I just hit the first. It's only 3 chapters. They're long chapters. It's a full-size book, but we just finished the first one today, and I am genuinely intrigued to see where it goes.
Yeah, it's a good book. Ray Bradbury, right?
Ray Bradbury, yes. So if you're looking for an apparently the audiobook is read by Tim Robbins.
Oh, okay.
So Tim Robbins and somebody else. I can't remember, but that made me intrigued to be like, apparently he does a really good job, like not just reading a book, but reading it as if he were the character, which is fun.
I believe they did a somewhat recent movie, right?
That's what I was saying. I thought there was a movie, but I don't know if it was based on the same property or not.
I assume it was, but I that couldn't have been the first time they've adapted that, right? That'd be.
I don't know.
There's
Like I said, I never heard of it up until this point. So
yeah, I think it's Michael Shannon. I want to say is in the new one.
Oh, okay.
And Michael Shannon and Michael B. Jordan. Yeah, okay, cool. Sophia Tello, man, what a cast!
While I'm at it, with my other classes, we're reading The Giver. Have you ever read The Giver?
Yeah. Well, that was required reading when I was in school.
They're reading it. My other 2 classes are reading this one. I've never read it. Holy cow, I'm into that book.
Yeah. Really?
I've always avoided it because that book is on the shelf at schools.
Yeah.
And the cover art is terrible. It's just like a picture of an old guy with a gray beard.
An old dude.
And I'm like, I'm not getting that impression from reading this book. Again, I'm not through it yet, but I'm looking forward to watching the movie afterwards as well. I don't know if it's any good, but
I don't know. I don't know anything about the movie, but yeah, the book's all right. I don't know. It didn't connect with me that deeply, I guess. But I was also younger.
I'm actually enjoying that one more than I'm enjoying reading Fahrenheit 451, but I appreciate the fact that Fahrenheit is that old and kind of called it.
Yeah.
On so many fronts. Like, it took me a while to realize that his wife, is obsessed with watching these plays or whatever, and the family that she keeps talking to, and you just realize that she's just watching TV.
Yeah.
Because it's in the 50s when it wasn't, that big of a thing where TV shows were there, but that's what was going on. Man,
yeah,
this dude had some stuff figured out.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Anyway, Fahrenheit 451, Ray Bradbury, is that the author?
Yes, yeah. He also wrote he wrote a bunch of stuff. Sound of Thunder, Something Wicked This Way Comes. Good author.
Oh, very cool. All right, well, everybody, thanks so much for listening. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zack Parkerson, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there is no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.